Well, it's just past 10 by the clock and we're back again with the news on the hour. It's your daily dose of what's happening in India and the rest of the world. We cut all the noise and bring you news as it happens over the next 1 hour. Let's get started with the top stories of the hour. Election campaigning for the first phase of assembly elections to end today in Assam and West Bengal, with polls scheduled for the 27th of March. Union Home Minister Amit Shah will hold public rallies in West Bengal's Purulia, Jhargram, Purba Mednipur and Bankura today. Parliament passes the Delhi bill giving more powers to LG. Bill passed in Rajya Sabha amid opposition walkout. Centre asserts Delhi is not a complete state and LG is the administrator of Delhi. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to visit Bangladesh on Friday and Saturday. The historic visit marks 50 years of diplomatic relations between India and Bangladesh, marks the conclusion of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman's birth centenary. Both countries likely to sign several agreements. Amid increasing cases of corona, Health Ministry makes it clear that increasing cases cannot be linked to new double mutant variant of virus as yet. No need to panic. No shortage of vaccines. Restrictions on festivals like Holi in many states. After EU mooted toughening the vaccine export restrictions, UK and the European Union issue joint statement, say they want to create a win-win situation and expand vaccine supply for all. Well, let's get started first up with news from the poll-bound states, 4 states and Union Territory. Let's start first with campaigning for the first phase of assembly elections in Assam and West Bengal that will end at 5 p.m. this evening, with polls scheduled for the 27th of March in both the states. There are 264 candidates contesting in 47 constituencies going to polls in the first phase of Assam assembly elections. Well, in West Bengal, 191 candidates are in fray for 30 assembly seats going for the polls on the 27th of March, along with veteran politicians include ministers, MLAs, former ministers and former MPs. 2 actresses turned politicians are also among the candidates from Mednipur and Jhargram assembly constituencies. Meanwhile, temperatures are soaring in poll-bound 4 states and 1 union territory as star campaigners are addressing back-to-back rallies to woo the voters. Union Home Minister and senior BJP leader Amit Shah will be holding public rallies in West Bengal's Purulia, Jhargram, Purba Mednipur and Bankura today. Well, for getting more inputs on that first phase of campaigning that's ending in West Bengal as well as Assam, let's first head to West Bengal, where I've got our correspondent Rajiv Bhattacharya joining us on the phone line to give us more updates. Rajiv, how big is the contest, especially when you look at the first phase of voting, because West Bengal goes to polls in 8 phases, so it's a long, lengthy process. But how do you look at the political battle that's heating up? Do you see it, a straight contest between the BJP and the TMC, or do you see it as a triangular contest, especially in the opening round?
Right, Anil. As you said, campaigning draws to an end this evening for the first phase of polls. 5 districts go to the polls in West Bengal. 5 districts comprising 30 seats will have their polls on Saturday. Now, this is the western part of the state, and where you could say that the 2 main principal opponents would be the BJP and the Trinamool Congress, but at the same time, one cannot really write off the Morcha, that is the combination of the Congress and the left. The left has made some recoveries in these areas over the last few months, and therefore they are also a significant presence. Well, if not a significant presence, well, a presence somewhat. there. Therefore, one would call it a triangular contest. But again, local factors are going to come into play, and all leaders have crisscrossed these 5 districts. And today, as you said, there's the Home Minister campaigning. Not only is the Home Minister, but you'll have the Defence Minister Rajnath Singh. You'll have the UP Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath. You have famous film actor Mithun Chakravarti, who's beginning his campaigning today. All this is for the BJP. Now, the star campaigner for the Trinamool Congress, of course, is the Chief Minister, and she's also leaving no stone unturned. She's traveling from district to district, trying to woo the voters. And of course, the left is concentrating on small street corner meetings and door-to-door campaigns to convince the voter about the rightness of their cause. The first phase, of course, is significant because after the polling is over, we'll perhaps get an indication or an idea as to how the rest of the voting will take place.
Okay.
Anil.
Okay, Rajiv, looking at this particular first phase of polling, that first phase of voting that goes to vote on the 27th of March. This 30 seats are generally considered to be a TMC bastion. How do things change? In the last 5 years, how have things changed? How do you look at it this time around? Do you see an even contest there this time around in the 30 seats that go to polls in the first phase?
You see, what you said is very interesting because in 2016, it would have been safe called TMC bastion because this area, more or less, TMC swept the area except for 1 or 2 places, and with huge margins. But interestingly enough, the second place was taken by the Congress and the left, and the third position went to the BJP. But in 2019, something very interesting happened. The table kind of overturned, and BJP, 2019, of course, was the Lok Sabha election. If you look at the Lok Sabha election and the voting trends, you'll find that the BJP has taken significant leads in almost most of the assembly segments. Now, of course, the question is there that Lok Sabha elections and assembly elections are 2 different things, and the voting pattern may. But again, BJP has increased its strength in the last, say, 2 to 3 years, and therefore is a very significant presence there. And it is going to be a very tough battle, a neck-and-neck fight, and with some votes going to if some votes go to the left, it might tilt the balance this or the other. So it is going to be a keenly contested battle, and we're all waiting to see how it pans out, really, Anil.
Okay, also, Rajiv, purely when you look in terms of, now criminal background of all the people who are fighting elections are very much out in the open with regards to the election commission giving guidelines. How much of a sense, when you look at the first phase of voting, how many candidates there are tainted or have, some kind of, criminal records against them, purely in terms of numbers?
Well, you can't really say that all have such backgrounds.
I did ask you in specific.
So, well, some of them definitely do have police cases and so on. But yes, the commission has allowed people to contest. So therefore, there are some cases are pending in courts, and we'll have to see how the court takes up these issues. But yes, there are some people who have certain questionable backgrounds. That is no doubt about that. But I think the voters of the state, voters of these districts are mature enough and wise enough to choose their candidates carefully. Anil.
Okay, also looking at this particular first phase of voting, which among the 30 seats is the most trickiest ones? Today Amit Shah is addressing 4 election rallies, but which among the 30, according to you, is one of the most trickiest ones?
Well, these seats, say for instance, take the seats of Purulia. The Purulia was 16. Purulia showed a Trinamool trend. In 19, it showed a BJP trend, and therefore, and after that, there was a lot of violence in these areas, and therefore, all these seats have become, very tense kind of places. And if you look at the list of the commission, where they have declared booths, everything to be sensitive. So those seats are there. I mean, tricky in terms of the contest, tricky in terms of outcomes, tricky in terms of candidates. So all these things are there, you see, and the paramilitary forces and the commission has a very tough task on its hands to ensure that everything goes off well and people can come out in large numbers and vote for their preferred candidates. We'll have to just wait and see till Saturday to see how it really pans out, Anil.
Okay, one final word, before I let you go, purely in terms of perception battles, Mamata Banerjee came out with the slogan, Khelo Hobe. Prime Minister came back with a strong rebuttal saying, Vikas Hobe. Purely, are the people there, split for choice, looking more towards development and parivartan?
You see, the Trinamool in 2011 had come to power on the platform of parivartan or change. Now, the BJP has given back the same slogan to them,
exactly,
saying that Ashal Parivartan in Bengali, which really means the real change. And therefore BJP has been emphasizing on development, not change, not only in terms of political power, but changes in terms of perceptions, changes in terms of administration, fairness of the administration, changes in terms of employment opportunities, changes in terms of agricultural benefits, changes in terms of healthcare benefits, and so on. It really is the choice is left to the voter to see how far they are convinced by the arguments or the campaign pitches being put forward by political parties. We really have to wait and see there, Anil.
Okay, Rajiv, appreciate you joining us this morning on News on the Hour. Well, thank you, and once again appreciate you joining this morning there, taking us through that first phase of voting in West Bengal that takes place on the 27th of this month. 30 seats go to polls there. If you look at the last assembly elections in the state of West Bengal, these 30 seats, TMC had won the maximum number of seats with 27, while the BJP had failed to open his account in these 30 seats. This time around, as voting takes place, it's going to be a keen contest, as Rajiv put it, between the two big parties there in the fray. Well, let's now shift focus from West Bengal to Assam, which also goes to polls in the first phase of elections. We've got Yogesh Sheetal joining us, giving us more updates. Yogesh, purely looking at the way Assam plays out this particular elections, how would you look at the first phase of elections, especially those 47 seats? Do you see a keen contest here? Because this is Upper Assam, and Upper Assam is generally the BJP stronghold.
That's right. And also in last assembly election, we had seen that how BJP swept most of the seats except a few, and that is the reason why BJP is still very confident, because a lot of things have been done on the ground by the BJP in different fields, including in railways. Also, some connectivity has been upgraded. Also, we had seen that how Majuli Jorghat bridge was constructed under BJP, and also how Narendra Modi inaugurated Bogibli bridge, one of the largest bridges in India. So a lot of developments things have happened on the ground, and that is the reason why BJP is very confident, and why BJP has also said that the target of the party is to achieve 100 plus seats.
Okay.
So that is also the key reason. Apart from that, also we had seen that this particularly Upper Assam has been epicenter of anti-CA protest. So obviously political battles are very interesting, going to be very interesting in this particular region, because back-to-back rallies also were also held by Rahul Gandhi and also by Priyanka Gandhi. Also recently we had seen she addressed a number of rallies in Jorghat also. So this is a very important battle as far as Upper Assam is concerned. As far as important seats are concerned, we know that Majuli is the seat of Saravanan Sonwal, who is the Chief Minister of Assam at this point in time. Apart from that, also there are other seats like also Atul Bora is contesting from a constituency, and also Ripun Bora is also contesting from Golpur. So these are the three candidates which are very important in terms of parties, in terms of their status in party as far as election is concerned. So definitely definitely this first phase is going to be very important, because also the issues, the mainly issues which are just roaming in this election, we had seen that also the grievances of tea workers have been an issue, flood has also been an issue, infiltrations are also issues, CA, NRC, all are issues, and basically these are issues, these all are the issues are basically directly related to Upper Assam area. So definitely the first phase which will be going to be held on 27th are very important here.
Okay, now, put this into perspective for our audience. When you said Upper Assam, you mentioned a lot of issues, but you also made a mention about how this was the this was the focus area for the anti-CAA protest. So do you somewhere feel this particular phase could turn out into a CAA versus anti-CAA battleground?
See, Anil, this is, I think, very tricky question, because we had seen that BJP has not mentioned CAA in the election manifesto. That is very important thing. But when JP Nadda was addressing a press conference for releasing a manifesto, he was, responding to a question when a journalist asked a question that what about CAA? Then he said that the law has been passed by the parliament, and after a certain time, the spirit and the way the parliament has been passed, that will be happen. So CAA, and also Narendra Singh Tomar, when he was addressing a press conference, he had said that CA is not going to play any role in this election. So this is very important points made out from the BJP. On the other hand, talking about Congress, then all the 5 points that Congress have basically coined, and Congress have basically taken to the people of Assam. So they are saying that there are 5 promises, and the first promise is not to allow CA to be implemented in Assam. So Congress is basically trying to make CA an issue, but on the other hand, the people of Assam, and especially these areas where CA was an epicenter, because meanwhile what has happened, ABVP and also other organizations, BJP had done a lot of groundwork to just cast away, to just move out all the rumors that have been spread about CA. We know that CA or a lot of rumors were also, spread, and also even guidelines have not been issued as far as CA is concerned, as far as CA is concerned. So that is also the people of BJP, and also the party workers and also volunteers. They have tried their level best to ensure that people are not, misguided from the propaganda that has been spread by the opposition. So these are the things that I think that will make some impact also.
Okay, now coming back to that first phase of voting, 47 seats, but purely when you look in terms of, numbers of the year gone by, you look at 2016, there were close to 10 seats where the margin of victory was less than 5,000. You go flashback, you go to 2011, there were 9 seats where the margin was less than 2,000. You go even further back, you had close to 23 seats where the margin was less than 2,000 votes. But having said that, do you feel this time around the battle to be much closer and much tighter, especially in those 47 seats?
See, there's no doubt that battle is going to be very interesting, very closer, because of the way that campaigning has been held in this particular region. Apart from that, what we had seen recently, it is not what my observation, because I have visited almost all the 12 districts which are going to be, cast their votes on the first phase. So just talking one by one, just coming from north side, from Tinsukia and then Debrugarh, then Majuli, then also, other region like Dhemaji and then Jorghat, then Golaghat. These are the areas, just talking one by one. See, the main concern of these areas were that the grievances of tea workers. PM already had said that 1,000 crore rupees already has been granted for the betterment of tea workers. So that is also a thing. And apart from that, also medical college has been set up. As I already told you that bridges and infrastructure projects had get a lead and also get a very much needed push in this region. Because earlier we had seen that area was basically severely affected by infiltrators, and a lot of violence was reported on a daily basis. Now the thing is, more than 2,000 tourists have surrendered before the authorities. So these are the things that will definitely has created a big window, a breather for the party, for the BJP, because in the center and also in the state, if I was talking in the terms of Narendra Modi, 2-engine governments had definitely delivered a lot in terms of multi-dimensional issues, and that is the reason why BJP is very confident. I cannot predict, no one can predict what is going to happen, but the sense of the people, what I can share, is that CA is not going to play any decisive role. Obviously, this thing will play some role. All the issues play a certain role, but these are not going to play a decisive role as far as as far as Assam election, this upcoming election is concerned.
Okay, now also put one final word before I let you go, especially when you look at these numbers, from these particular state. Last time around, in 2016, when you purely look at numbers, there were 5 constituencies in this 47, 47 seats that go to poll, where Nota or, none of the above polled more votes than the winning margin. This time around, do you see, that particular trend being changed this time around with the candidates in the fray?
That's a very important question, Anil. See, we have seen that recently also in last election around 1,80,000 votes were casted or given to Nota, and also there are 10 constituencies, the top 10 constituencies, and out of 10 constituencies, some constituencies are in the first phase. The most important constituency is Dumduma, where the Nota margin was almost equal to the margin of a winner and loser. Basically, the equal margin was there. So Nota has been a concern. You have also rightly, very important question. In fact, you have raised that. In this time we have to say that how people react to the leaders, because there is no new issues. CA is the only issue which is new. Otherwise, just to take rest of the issues, then infiltrator was the issue previously 2016, and we have seen that in 2016, after 2016, a lot have been done, and also BJP in the center, because BJP was in the center in 2014, and most of the agreements we know that there is a 3 list, union list and state list and then concurrent list. So basically these issues which were settled in the center, from the center. So BJP has a good impression in all the regions, particularly in this region, as far as infiltration, as far as peace is concerned. And that is why also when Amit Shah was addressing a rally, he highlighted 5 points, that is culture, peace, prosperity, and also security and safety and self-esteem. So 5 points basically, in total 5 points were raised, and that is what your question is basically. So this is, in fact, this is a thing as far as Nota is concerned, but the way developments has been launched in this particular region. So I think we can expect some better result at this in this particular election. Okay,
better results in this particular elections. But one interesting stat that I would throw at you, and you should take note of it, is that this time around there are more crore-patis there in this particular election fray. The first phase of elections, 47 seats there. Last time around there were 83. This time around there are 101 crore-patis in this particular elections. Well, thank you and appreciate you joining us, Yogesh Sheetal, with those updates there from phase 1 of voting in Assam. Assam goes to polls in 3 phases: 27th, April 1st, April 6th, counting of votes on the 2nd of May for all the 4 states and the Union Territory that goes to polls on various dates. Well, let's now head south to Tamil Nadu, where campaigning has also intensified in the poll-bound states of Tamil Nadu and Kerala. Star campaigners of different political parties are crisscrossing the southern states to woo voters. Well, we got our correspondent Abhishek just standing by to give us the latest from Tamil Nadu. Abhishek, the first elections with 2 major, I would say, regional satraps, if that would be the right word to describe them. No Jayalalitha, no Karunanidhi this time around. Is it an open battleground? When you look at Tamil Nadu, we don't get to hear much in this election battle, but how do you look at Tamil Nadu playing out? Minus the 2 satraps, do you see this time around an even ground where all the political parties have some or the other options?
Of course, Anil. So this election which is happening, those 2 satraps from both AIDMK and DMK, is as uncomfortable for the parties and the workers and the voters as well. Because these voters have been aligned very much with the cult figure of Karunanidhi or Jayalalitha, and now when these 2 figures are absent, whom should they trust? Will they actually trust OPS and EPS duo, or will they go ahead with Stalin's leadership? Stalin is 68 years now, and this election could very well be his last chance to win a chief ministerial ship, because now he has also tried to include his son Udayanidhi in the political cadre. He is fighting from Chepak seat in Chennai. Today I'm in Madurai, and Madurai is one of the hotbed of political campaigning. DMK President Stalin has campaigned here a day ago, where he has actually accused AIDMK of not improving the city urban facilities in Madurai city. Especially those flyovers and other infrastructural development works that was started by DMK way back 10 years ago. And AIDMK has not been able to continue with that. That is one accusation that DMK has made against this AIDMK-led government. Also, it has said that the aims that was supposed to be built 3 years ago, the foundation stone was laid, but that aims has not come up in the city, and this clearly says the neglect of AIDMK to the city. On the other side, talking about the candidates from Madurai North, BJP cadres were quite excited about upcoming election, because they thought that the BJP leader Srinivasan could be fighting from Madurai North, but then after negotiation, the seat has gone to the newly joined candidate from the DMK, Sarvanan, who was in DMK until weeks ago, and now he has joined BJP and he has got seat from the Madurai North. So how this cadre trust will fan out in the days to come in support of Sarvanan, that is one question that BJP will have to see.
You can also, when you look at elections and the way elections are played out down south, this time around, we've seen many cine stars enter the political fray. Vijaykanth tried his luck but didn't get that success. This time around, we've got a fresh entrant into this elections. Kamal Hassan coming with his party there, trying to test the political fortunes of his party. How do you see, Kamal Hassan and his party this time around? Are they focusing on a few seats? And since they come with no baggage, is that a big advantage entering the election fray?
So Anil, see the 90s and 80s era of cine stars and people from film industry who joined politics and became actually very successful, that era has actually been not repeated for a long time, because we have seen other people trying their luck. Kamal Hassan, in fact, Kamal Hassan tried his luck in this election in 2019, general election in 2019, but then he could not garner much of support, of less than 6% vote he could get throughout the state. This time around, he has projected himself as the chief minister face of his party, MNM. We'll have to see how much of that cult figure and his fan following actually turns out into vote share for Kamal Hassan's party. He's fighting from South Coimbatore seat where he has a tough contestant. BJP's Mahila Morcha President Vanate Srinivasan, who has also had a lot of groundwork on Coimbatore in the last few years, SHG, Self-Help Group and Women Workers Group. So she has a lot of goodwill in South Coimbatore seat, and Kamal Hassan will have to see how his fan base converts into voting share as well. However, talking about Vijaykanth could not, crack a deal with BJP and AIDMK alliance, and he had to break away from that faction, and then he joined TTV Dinakaran's hand. Now TTV Dinakaran could be a deciding factor, because TTV Dinakaran is also fighting in the name of Amma Jayalalitha. That can actually put a dent in AIDMK-led alliance's vote share, and if that does, it can actually, dent the prospect of AIDMK coming back to power as well.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Thank you and appreciate you joining us, Abhishek, with those inputs there from the southern state of Tamil Nadu that goes to polls on the 6th of April. And it's going to be an interesting contest there, considering the fact that in the 2019 elections, it looked like one-way traffic with DMK winning 38 of the 39. But the AIADMK under Palaniswamy slowly, building a big base there. And this particular election going neck to neck. We'll have to wait and watch when the ballot boxes will be open on May 2nd, who has the final laugh in this election down south in Tamil Nadu. Well, staying with elections, the Election Commission has ordered suspension of an Uttar Pradesh cadre IAS officer who was deployed as an observer for West Bengal Assembly polls for his alleged misconduct with district officials and misuse of official position. In a letter to the Chief Secretary of Uttar Pradesh, the Commission said disciplinary proceedings should also be incited against Narendra Prasad Pandey under Union Service rules. Pandey was appointed as General Observer in Kashipur Assembly Constituency of West Bengal. However, the Commission had to remove him on the 22nd of this month due to alleged misconduct in order to prevent any flare-up of the situation and to save the dignity of the institution of Observer. Well, time for us to slip into a short breather here on News on the Hour. On the other side, we've got lots of news lined up from Parliament, the world, and also sports. Stay tuned.
The changing world of news. Headlines that you wake up to. News that shapes your day. Stories that matter to you. The latest and most accurate updates. A fresh start to a new day. The Breakfast News, Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. on DD India. Your window to rising India. India's voice on global platforms. Latest news from India and around the world. In-depth analysis of global headlines. Watch DD India in your country. Available for downlink in Middle East countries. STTV broadcast is available through the satellite GSAT 17 at 93.5 degrees east. HDTV broadcast is available through the satellite GSAT 10 at 83 degrees east. For technical details, scan here. Switch to DD India now.
Welcome back to News on the Hour once again. Now taking a look at Parliament and the developments of Parliament overnight and the day ahead. The Upper House will take up the National Bill for Financing Infrastructure and Development Bill 2021 for consideration and passing. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman will move the bill to establish the National Bank for Financing Infrastructure and Development to support the development of long-term non-recourse infrastructure financing in India. The bill has already been passed by the lower house. Lok Sabha will take the Airport Economic Regulatory Authority of India Amendment Bill 2021 for consideration and passing. Earlier on Wednesday, Parliament had passed the Finance Bill 2021 with the Rajya Sabha returning it to the Lok Sabha. With this, Parliament has completed all the budgetary exercise. Government has raised the limit for tax exemption on interest earned on Provident Fund contributions by employees to 5 lakh per annum in specific areas as against 2.5 lakh rupees proposed in the budget. The Lok Sabha on Wednesday cleared the National Commission for Allied and Healthcare Professionals Bill 2021. The legislation seeks to provide regulation and maintenance of standards of education and services by allied and healthcare professionals. The lower house also cleared a bill which seeks to strengthen provisions relating to protection and adoption of children. The bill, which seeks to amend the Juvenile Justice Act 2015, proposes to increase the role of district magistrates and additional district magistrates with issues concerning childcare and adoption. Rajya Sabha has meanwhile passed the Government of National Capital Territory of Delhi Amendment Bill 2021. The legislation was passed in the upper house by a voice vote. The bill makes it mandatory for the Delhi government to take the opinion of the Lieutenant Governor before any executive action. Well, moving on, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be making his first foreign visit since the COVID pandemic. The visit to neighboring Bangladesh takes place on Friday and Saturday. It commemorates 50 years of diplomatic relations between India and Bangladesh and also marks the conclusion of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman's birth centenary. Both countries are likely to sign several agreements. Let's take a look at this detailed report.
Dhaka will be drenched in the colours of friendship between India and Bangladesh on 26th March and 27th March when Prime Minister Narendra Modi visits the country.
2021 is a historic year for Bangladesh. One, it marks the Golden Jubilee, the 50th anniversary of Bangladesh's independence. Two, Bangladesh is celebrating the centenary of Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, the father of the nation. And last but not the least, the year marks the 50th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between Bangladesh and India.
The visit will be his first to a foreign country amid the pandemic.
Our 50th anniversary Golden Jubilee celebration is many ways a joint celebration of what happened in 1971, in which India's role is recognized and by all of us. And his coming will make this occasion, celebration, give it a very special dimension and a height that we could only hope for. This visit is also very important. This is the first time that any head of government and especially head of Indian government is actually going to the mausoleum of Bangabandhu in his home village in Tungipara. That is a symbolic gesture that has touched the heart of every Bangladeshi.
Prime Minister will attend the National Day program of Bangladesh as the chief guest on 26th of March.
Bangladesh is celebrating the 50th anniversary of its liberation war. India had lent its full support to this noble cause in which Indian soldiers also sacrificed their lives. Both countries are commemorating 50 years of the establishment of diplomatic ties this year. India, as you're aware, was one of the first countries to recognize Bangladesh in 1971, and 6th of December 1971 to be precise. This is also the year of commemoration of the 100th birth anniversary of Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, the father of the Bangladesh nation, being celebrated throughout Bangladesh as Mujib Borsho.
In addition to bilateral talks scheduled with Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, a meeting with Bangladesh's President Mohammad Abdul Hamid, along with Bangladesh's Foreign Minister Dr. A.K. Abdul Momin, is also part of Prime Minister's two-day visit to Bangladesh. A number of agreements will be signed between the two countries during PM's visit, including pacts in the field of trade, cultural cooperation, health, railways, and cooperation in new areas. Relations between the two countries have been excellent in recent times, and Prime Minister's visit is expected to boost further cooperation between the two nations.
Our relationship with Bangladesh has attained historic heights in strong political and people-to-people ties. This has facilitated a partnership marked by conversations and discussions in candor, friendship, and comfort. Under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, our two countries have made remarkable progress in all areas, fully justifying this era being referred to as a Shonali Adhyay or a golden era in our relationship. Prime Minister Modi is looking forward to his visit and interacting with the leadership of and people of Bangladesh.
In October 2019, Sheikh Hasina visited India. 3 key projects, including a project to import bulk LPG from Bangladesh, were inaugurated via video link, and several agreements were also linked. Bureau Report, DD India.
Well, DD India has got its team there on ground zero as Prime Minister makes his first visit in the post-pandemic, especially his first foreign visit after a year coming to Bangladesh. We've got Ramesh Ramchandran joining us this morning to give us the latest updates. Ramesh, give us a flavor of what's happening around you as we speak, and what are the optics for Prime Minister's visit to Dhaka?
Indeed, Dhaka is all decked up for the celebrations here in Bangladesh of the Golden Jubilee of the country's independence. Now, 2021 is a historic trifecta of sorts for Bangladesh. As I mentioned, 2021 marks the Golden Jubilee, the 50th anniversary of Bangladesh's independence. The year also is significant because Bangladesh is celebrating the centenary of the founder of the country, Bangabandhu Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. And also, last but not the least, the year marks the 50th anniversary of the establishment of ties between Bangladesh and India. And Prime Minister Modi is expected to visit Dhaka on the 26th and 27th, what promises to be a much anticipated and significant visit, because this, remember, is his first overseas visit in over a year because of the lockdown. He was not traveling outside, and Dhaka is his first destination in more than 1 year since the lockdown early last year. Now, in terms of bilateral ties, this is a significant visit as mentioned. And in the last few months, we've seen India supply COVID vaccines to Bangladesh. In particular, India donated almost 2 million vaccines to Bangladesh. And since then, we've seen Dhaka and other cities in the country here step up their vaccination campaign in the last several weeks.
Okay. Okay, now also talk us a bit more, especially when it comes to Prime Minister Modi's engagements in Dhaka, and how do you describe India and Bangladesh ties as they exist today?
Yes, India-Bangladesh ties are blossoming, to say the least. They have shown an uptick in the last several years, especially since the Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina's term began here in Bangladesh almost a decade ago. And since then, we've seen the ties only go up and up. Now, in terms of the optics for the visit, one can expect several other engagements to be held on the margins of Prime Minister's visit to Dhaka. On 26th, he will hold delegation-level talks with Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina here in Dhaka as well. And one can expect a number of outcomes from those talks, including a number of MOUs that are likely to be signed towards the end of their talk, the talk between Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Hasina of Bangladesh.
Okay.
And in terms of bilateral ties, remember, connectivity is an important issue. In the last few weeks, we saw India step up the connectivity with Bangladesh.
Okay.
We saw Prime Minister Modi inaugurate the Maitri Bridge, the Friendship Bridge, linking Tripura in the northeast with Bangladesh. We also saw the inland waterways being used to transport goods from Dhaka to Kolkata. So connectivity is an important pillar of the India-Bangladesh ties. But other than that, Bangladesh is central. It is key to India's neighborhood first policy and Act East policy at the same time. So Bangladesh is a big component of India's neighborhood first policy and Act East policy, targeting or linking South Asia with Southeast Asia. Other than that, in terms of trade, investment, people-to-people ties, we've seen an uptick in relations. So on balance, India-Bangladesh ties look promising, and one can expect them to reach new levels going forward towards the end of the talk between Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Hasina here in Dhaka.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Thank you and appreciate you joining us, Ramesh Ramchandran, with those updates there from Dhaka. So political stability, policy continuity helping India-Bangladesh ties getting stronger. There is much to celebrate and a lot to reflect on as Prime Minister makes his visit to Bangladesh, especially his first overseas visit. The importance that India lays to Bangladesh, especially as looking at that neighborhood policy and also the Act East policy. Well, back home, let's now take a look at COVID-19 update from across the country on how things are in our country. As per the Union Health Ministry, I beg your pardon, 26,490 recoveries being recorded in the last 24 hours, taking that cumulative total of recovered patients to 1,12,31,650. With this, the recovery rate currently stands at 95.28%. India's total active caseload stands at 3,95,000 cases today. The country's present active caseload consists of 3.35 of the total positive cases, and the fatality rate in India currently standing at 1.36%. Currently, India has crossed a significant milestone in its fight against the global pandemic. The cumulative number of COVID-19 vaccine doses in India that have been administered are, now crossing that has now crossed the 5 crore mark. Over 5 crore 31 lakh vaccine doses being administered so far. So clearly, with over 23 lakh 3,000 vaccines being given in a single day. So clearly, every passing day, a new milestone being achieved when it comes to vaccination and in the fight against COVID-19. Well, the way the vaccination drive crossing milestones, the efforts to track COVID-19 is still going strong. According to the ICMR, with the better healthcare infrastructure facilities and the test, track, treat method, a total of 23 crore 75 lakh 3,882 samples were tested for COVID-19 so far. Of these, 10,65,021 samples were tested on a single day. That's Wednesday alone. That's the 24th of March. Meanwhile, Maharashtra has once again registered a new high in the daily COVID number cases, with 31,855 new cases being reported from the western state on Wednesday. 15,098 patients discharged, and the recovery rate in the state is currently at 88.21%. In a bid to break the chain of virus, stringent measures are being implemented in several districts. Adding to the list, Bid and Nanded district have also announced complete lockdown till the 4th of April. Parbhani is witnessing curfew till between 7 p.m. till 6 a.m. To the 1st of April. Well, we've got Shama Mishra, our correspondent, joining us from Mumbai to give us the latest on the western state battle against COVID-19. Shama, things don't looking good. 2 days back when we spoke, you mentioned about cases coming below 24,000, but now we are back over 30,000. Does the situation look grim, and is the state government doing enough, especially in its fight against keeping it under check and also when it comes to vaccination?
Well, yes, every day the state is recording new highs in terms of the COVID positive numbers, but the people in Maharashtra, in Mumbai and corporation, the city areas, they are really still careless and yet to understand that this situation, the pandemic situation, is not over yet. So that is why, the BMC or anywhere the municipal corporation administration are taking stringent measures. Like you've already mentioned that, latest to add to the list are Bid, Parbhani and Nanded. They have also announced night curfew and also implemented strict lockdown. Apart from that, we are seeing in Mumbai, because Mumbai yesterday registered more than 5,000 cases in yesterday's count. And apart from that, we saw Pune Municipal Corporation, Nagpur Municipal Corporation also recording, a new high, record high numbers. So that is why stringent measures are being implemented at these places also. If we are talking about Mumbai, then, a few days back, recently, a new order had come that no one in public or private would be playing the Holi. The celebration of Holi would be not happening. This includes both the days, lighting of the fire, and also on the day when we play the colors, when we play with the colors, that is Rang Panchami day. Both days are totally prohibited to be public or private. Wherever there is crowd gathering, if that is happening, then they will be booked under law. Apart from that, BMC's additional municipal corporation commissioner Suresh Kakani, he mentioned that in Mumbai we did see that 21 cases of the new strain had been found, and these people have already been treated, and those who had come in close contact, these people have also been traced down, and they are also kept in isolation to contain further spread. Apart from this, if we are talking that vaccination is another thing that can curb the whole situation, and it's a good thing that in Maharashtra the total number of vaccinations have been crossed by 50 lakh mark, and it really comes as a relief to all the people, because from the third phase, people above 45 can also register themselves. And Maharashtra, like we've already spoken before, they have kept an aim of vaccinating 3 lakh people per day. So definitely this number can go up more higher, and every day we could see more number of people getting vaccinated, getting protected by the deadly disease.
Okay, we'll leave it there, but thank you and appreciate you joining us this morning with those updates there, especially on the battle situation there in Ground Zero, especially in the western state of Maharashtra. And you take good care of yourself. We'll come back to you across the day for more updates from the western state. Well, now staying with COVID, but shifting to central part of India, where the Madhya Pradesh government has imposed Sunday lockdown in 4 more cities: Kargone, Betul, Chindwara and Ratlam, after a surge in COVID-19 cases. Sunday lockdown is already in force in Indore, Bhopal and Jabalpur. The state government has also revised the timings of night curfew. Now the curfew will be imposed from 8 p.m. and will continue till 6 a.m. in the morning. Apart from Sunday lockdown, schools and colleges will remain closed in these 7 districts till the 31st of March. Also, there will be a complete ban on gatherings and programs for Holi celebration. Meanwhile, COVID control room in Madhya Pradesh is monitoring home quarantine of patients 24/7. Well, now for updates on the Dandi March, the historic Dandi March that's of great significance in India's freedom struggle. Well, Mahatma Gandhi taught the world to use non-violence as a political weapon. The Dandi March was a major breakthrough in the political experiment in which Gandhi kept a silent fast every Monday during the journey, which later proved to be an innovative experiment.
Mahatma Gandhi used to observe a silent fast every Monday during the Dandi Yatra. After reaching Samni on Sunday, that is 23rd March 1930, Gandhiji kept a silent fast on the following day, on 24th March. Historians believe that Mahatma Gandhi, who always listened to the needy, kept a day's silence and tried to listen to his strength and conscience.
गांधी जी के पास तो अनेक लोग आते थे जाते थे, तो उन्होंने ऐसा सोचा कि इससे हर दिन बोलने से शक्ति खत्म होती है, उनको आराम भी नहीं मिलता है, और जो मौन रखे तो उनकी आध्यात्मिक शक्ति भी बढ़ती है.
During his silent fast, Gandhiji did not talk to anyone. Instead of talking, he used to write down his messages if there was a need, but refrained from speaking. Historians believe that the silence of a person who lives in public life is no less than a political weapon. Dheeraj Kumar's report from Ahmedabad, DD India.
Well, quick updates on COVID-19 from across the world on how the numbers are. The global tally for COVID-19 crossing 12 crore 54 lakh. Total recoveries 10 crore 13 lakh. Total deaths 27 lakh 56,000. United States worst affected by the pandemic both in terms of infections as well as fatalities. In terms of infections, 3 crore 7 lakhs. In terms of deaths, over 5 lakh 58,000 deaths in the United States of America. Well, the pandemic is getting worse in many European countries with the number of COVID-19 infections, hospitalizations and deaths on the rise. European Health Commissioner on Wednesday said that considering the situation, rules for exports of COVID-19 vaccines made in the EU are being tightened. The European Union refined its rules on the export of COVID-19 vaccines on Wednesday, giving it a clearer right to block shipments to countries such as Britain with higher inoculation rates and to those not exporting their own vaccine doses. The move risks stoking post-Brexit tensions with UK, which has warned Brussels against vaccine nationalism. Well, Japan's Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga today said that North Korea fired 2 ballistic missiles which fell outside the Japanese exclusive economic zone. He said that the launches posed a threat to the security and peace in the region, and the Japanese Prime Minister further said that he would thoroughly discuss North Korea issues, including the launches, with US President Joe Biden during his visit next month. Well, North Korea has launched at least 2 projectiles suspected to be ballistic missiles. This was the first such test reported since US President Joe Biden took office in January. Pyongyang is banned from testing ballistic missiles considered threatening weapons under the UN Security Council resolutions. Both Japan and South Korea have both condemned the test. Well, the shortest shipping route from Europe to Asia remained blocked on Wednesday as 10 tugboats struggled to free one of the world's largest container ships after it ran aground in the Suez Canal. Diggers are also trying to free the ship from the canal's bank where it is lodged. The 400-meter-long Ever Given ran aground on Tuesday after losing the ability to steer amid high winds and a dust storm. Experts have said that the effort to remove the ship and make the canal fully functional again could take several days. Since the alternative route between Europe and Asia around Africa is a week slower than the Suez route, a day-long blockade could have a severe impact on global trade. The owners and insurers of the Evergreen face claim totaling millions of dollars even if the ship is refloated quickly. Egypt, which heavily depends on revenues from the canal, is now diverting ships to an older canal to minimize disruptions to global trade. The blockage has already led to a long queue of vessels waiting to cross the canal. A human-made waterway, the Suez Canal is one of the world's most heavily used shipping lanes, carrying over 12% of world trade by volume. Built in 1869, it provides a major shortcut for ships moving between Europe and Asia, which before its construction had to sail around Africa to complete the same journey. Well, on to sports, the torch relay for the postponed Tokyo Games began its 121-day journey across Japan and is headed towards the opening ceremony in Tokyo on the 23rd of July. The relay began in northeastern Fukushima Prefecture, the area that was devastated by the 2011 earthquake, tsunami, and the meltdown of 3 nuclear reactors. The first runner to the torch was Azuze Iwakashamushi, the key player in Japan's team that won the Women's World Cup in 2011. Decked out in white tracksuit, she carried the torch out of the J Village Indoor Soccer Training Center and was surrounded by other members of the team. The ceremony held behind closed doors as the entry at the prefecture was closed to the public due to the fear of spreading COVID-19. Well, in other news, Kashmir's iconic tulip garden with more than 1.5 million tulips is all set to open to the public today. The garden will see over 15 lakh flowers of more than 64 varieties in bloom. The garden, located on the foothills of the Zabawan mountain, is Asia's biggest tulip garden. Earlier, Prime Minister Narendra Modi took to Twitter to share pictures of the fresh bloom, urging everyone to visit Jammu and Kashmir whenever they get the opportunity and witness the scenic tulip festival.
With an aim to give a boost to tourism in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, the tulips have been planted in Highland Park in Kud area of the Udhampur district. A good news for the nature enthusiasts is that there are no time restrictions and no fee is being charged. Over 120 gardeners, labourers, among other workers work tirelessly to maintain the garden of tulips to attract many tourists.
ये ट्यूलिप जो हमने नवंबर के आखिरी हफ्ते में तैयार लगाया है और जब लगाते हैं बड़ी मेहनत पड़ती है, इसमें मेहनत करना पड़ती है और इसमें तकरीबन 10,000 बल्ब जो है हमने ज़मीन के अंदर गाड़ा है और इसमें 5 कलर हैं जिसमें 2 कलरों का रंग जो 2 कलर जो है पहले फूल देते हैं, वाइट और पिंक कलर जो है वो पहले फूल दे देता है और बाकी जब हम लगाते हैं तो फिर उसके बाद जब फूल आता है हमें बड़ी खुशी होती है।
हम अपनी तरफ से एज ए टूरिस्ट मैं भी सभी से ये रिक्वेस्ट करना चाहता हूँ कि आप लोग आएँ, इस रास्ते से देखें, जहाँ का नज़ारा लें, जहाँ की आबोहवा बहुत अच्छी है, खूबसूरत है, ठंडी हवा है, गर्मी में बहुत अच्छा मौसम होता है, तो लोग जहाँ स्नोफॉल भी देखने आते हैं, लेकिन ये गर्मियों में तो एक जहाँ पर फूल अलग अलग किस्म के फूल होते हैं, तो हम कश्मीर के उस बाग को अगर आप वहाँ नहीं पहुँच सकते जो टूरिस्ट, जहाँ आए खुद में पत्नीटॉप में आए तो जहाँ आकर ये अपना इस कुदरत का जो नज़ारा लें।
The Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir is known for its surreal beauty and has popularly been called heaven on earth. Rightly so, we see here with the rich bloom of tulips. Locals have appealed to tourists all over the country and abroad to pay a visit to Kud and rejoice in nature's bounty. Bureau Report, DD India.
Well, that's all we have time for in this edition of News on the Hour. Remember, we've got a campaign running for you that's called Mask Up India, and we are into the festive season, though many states have banned the celebrations. But remember, wherever you go out, during the festivals of Holi and also during the Kumbh Mela, do not forget to wear your mask at all times. Remember, we have a choice here. We got to wear the mask not only to protect ourselves but also our loved ones. Remember, there is a fine lesson that we all can learn in this adversary is that we have a choice here. We can be bitter or we can be better. So we need to do our bit to be better, not only for ourselves but also for the society at large. Well, that's it from me. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye. Take care.